Hey, it's Todd Burrier from toddburrier.com. And today I want to give you a little tip for actually an area I see people make mistakes in presentations. And what brought this to light was I was doing some coaching with someone and debriefing their activities a couple days ago. And this was just basic, wow, that's the wrong thing to do right there. And so I know it's something that people tend to naturally do because you can't help yourself. So I'm gonna give you this little insight, and it should make a big difference for you, specifically for one-on-ones or phone calls, right? Phone calls or video calls when you're in the presentation mode, so to speak, right? So you're past the approach, you're past the contact, and now this person is interested and you're sharing with them. And so as part of that, naturally, right, you're going to have them share their pain, and you're going to have them share their journey and their struggle and why they're even talking to you about what they're doing, what problems they're trying to solve, which is exactly what you should do, right? Because the more they talk, right, the more they begin to trust you, the more emotional equity you're building because you're listening to them and you're caring for them. And that is something that they're not used to, which makes our job a lot easier because we're in a world where people don't listen very much. And so you're doing it all right. And then as you're digging, right, and they're sharing the things that they've tried and stuff that they've used or, whatever it is, then they tell you something that you know, right? You know is the wrong thing to do, right? You already know it's the wrong thing to do because you know something more about that, right? Especially given because it's going to be in line with what you're doing. So you're going to know stuff that they don't know. The mistake is when they say it, that you jump in, right? You jump in and go, oh yeah, that I know that doesn't work. Let me tell you what, let me tell you about that. Or, and you explain it to them, right? And so you might be right, and what you're sharing with them might be the right information. But what you just did was wrong because you just made them wrong. You see, the things that they did were their choices, their decisions. They felt like they were doing the right thing. They're not going to think they were wrong. They're going to think it didn't work for them. That's where they're coming from. And so you can't tell them that they're wrong. You create resistance in that moment, right? Because now their internal dialogue is, hey, you just told me I'm wrong. I'm not wrong. Just because it didn't work out didn't make me wrong, right? That's what's happening, right? Your conversation just went sideways and you never knew why. And so what you do is you just hold on to it and keep digging. Keep digging, but hold on to that thing. And then when it's time for you to share your story, you talk about that thing in your story as something you discovered. In other words, you put out there that I used to think blah, 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 or I tried blah, 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 and then I discovered, or then I found, or then I learned about ... And I was like, oh my gosh, I was doing that, and that wasn't the right thing to do. Now see, what you're doing is saying that you were wrong. Right? You're saying you were wrong, and then you discovered something that was right. This is it's so actually simple, but it's incredibly powerful because what you've just done is you've allowed them to discover it too through your journey, right? Rather than telling they're wrong, they're going to say to themselves, oh my gosh, I was wrong, right? But that's fine, right? You would much rather someone say to themselves, I was wrong, and I'm thankful that this person is sharing a story that helps me see that because they found out they were wrong. That is entirely different than you telling them that they were wrong, is them coming to it, right? So that's very, very powerful. So what you actually do there is you give them hope. That seems bizarre, but that's exactly what happens because you discovered something they didn't know. Right? And you didn't know that has given you hope and put you on a new path. And now you've just given them hope, right? So they will now lean into the conversation because you've just given them something incredibly valuable, right? And so that is a really powerful little nugget. And it's going to make it way easier for you to then move that person into involvement as you move forward because you have just done something that's substantial for them. But I hope you can see how if you had just said that to them early in it, you would have made them wrong and you would have blown the whole opportunity to be the purveyor of hope. So I hope that's helpful for you. If you get value here, hey, share this with somebody else. It might help them too.